My daughter's wedding was planned for a grand chateau in Paris, a vision I helped fund, yet I found myself uninvited. In a curt email she quipped, "If you're curious about the day, maybe peek at it on Google Maps." She brushed it off with a laugh. I responded simply, "Wishing you a beautiful wedding." The following day, her calls poured in, but I was far too engrossed to pick up. The email arrived at 10:37 p.m., sharp and stinging. I'd just returned from my evening walk, settled with a glass of water, and was skimming my inbox, routine bills, a stray newsletter, when her message appeared. Subject: "No hard feelings, Dad." I opened it, steeling myself. "Dear Dad, Brandon and I are tying the knot in Paris next month. The chateau is booked, the guest list set, and I'm overjoyed to marry my soulmate surrounded by those closest to us. Weddings can be stressful, so we've decided not to have you there. It's not personal, just a choice for harmony. If you want a taste of the moment, maybe zoom in on the chateau via Google Maps. You might catch a glimpse, LOL. Love, Emily." No invitation, no real reason, just a flippant jest and a casual dismissal, as if I were a distant relative. The deepest cut? I'd paid for that chateau. $47,000, transferred in a heartbeat when she and Brandon couldn't cover it. I thought I was building her happiness, her future. I didn't reply. No anger, no tears. I leaned back, eyes fixed on the screen, and something shifted. A calm smile crept across my face. That night, the father who'd begged for a role in her life vanished, replaced by a man who moved with quiet resolve and strategy. I stayed silent. No calls, no questions, no pleas for answers. In my heart, I knew why. Since Brandon came into her life, Emily had changed. Her warmth faded, her appreciation dissolved. "Thanks, Dad" became, "That's what you're supposed to do." After her mother passed, her calls dwindled unless she needed funds. Still, I sent every penny she requested. My mistake. Her email revealed the truth. I was no longer part of her world. I was just the wallet behind it. So I acted. I compiled every receipt, bank transfer, and invoice from the past 3 years. The chateau wasn't the only thing I'd funded. There was the down payment for their condo, Brandon's doomed business venture, her wedding dress deposit, plane tickets, furniture, even a trendy dog for her Instagram posts. Total, $142,000. You'd think that would earn me a seat at her wedding. Apparently not. I reached out to Jacques, a Parisian lawyer I'd once saved from a fraud scheme. He was indebted to me. "Is Chateau de Bellure booked in my name?" I asked. A brief silence, then, "Yes, you paid in full." "They haven't claimed it." "Why not?" I probed. "Because," I said, "we're making changes." Over 5 days, I legally transferred the reservation out of Emily and Brandon's names. They'd never had legal claim to it. Instead, I leased the chateau to an international fashion label for a shoot that same weekend, earning a profit. The cancellation terms were brutal. The chaos for guests arriving to a non-existent event? Even worse. But I wasn't done. I booked a solo retreat to a remote spot with no Wi-Fi or cell signal, where her frantic calls would meet only silence. Emily arrived at Chateau de Bellure in a gleaming vintage Rolls-Royce, her veil perfect, a champagne flute in hand. Brandon, smug in his tailored tuxedo, sat beside her. Her phone hummed with congratulatory texts and Instagram stories from her influencer friends already at the gates. But something felt wrong. No valet greeted them. A security guard with a clipboard approached instead. "Names. Emily Thompson. The bride," she announced. The guard's eyes tightened. "No event under that name. The chateau's booked for Maison Valence, a private fashion shoot. No guests allowed." Brandon leaned forward. "There's an error. We paid." The guard corrected him. "Someone paid, but not you. The reservation reverted to the original payer 4 days ago. The shoot's in progress." Models and crew bustled past, cameras flashing. A renowned photographer barked orders in French. Behind them, floral arrangements and signs declared, "Private event. No entry." Emily's face paled. "This is my wedding venue," she protested. Her friends' cameras captured the chaos. "What's going on? Where do the guests go?" one asked. Another muttered, "Why isn't your dad here? Didn't he pay for this?" Emily fumbled for her phone. dialing me repeatedly. No response. She called 11 times by noon. At my secluded mountain lodge, offline and tranquil, I sipped coffee and smiled. She'd mocked me, suggested I watch her day through a virtual lens. Now her guests watched her unravel. And that was only the beginning. The financial trail, contracts, and Brandon's shady startup funding were about to resurface in court. For now, I let her stew in her public humiliation. By 2 p.m., Emily and Brandon sat in their limo on a quiet French lane, sweating, mortified, silent. Her mascara ran from furious tears. His phone was dead from endless calls to vendors, photographers, florists, and irate guests. Why did your dad destroy everything? Brandon snapped. He didn't destroy it. He paid for it. Or so I thought, Emily murmured, hands trembling as she checked her email. The contracts, venue, catering, photography, were all voided, reverted to the original payee, Michael Thompson. Her stomach sank. Brandon glanced over. He owns the venue? She turned, voice barely audible. Not just the venue. I'd said I was too busy to answer, hadn't I? I was with my lawyer and a forensic accountant I'd hired 6 months prior. When I noticed Emily's hidden credit cards and funds siphoned into Brandon's side project. She thought I was oblivious, but I'd built that business, funded every dime, and embedded control clauses in the contracts. Brandon's startup? Mine. At the chateau, the crew wrapped up. I'd personally called the photographer, offering the venue free as a favor, with one condition: no bride in the frame. That night, Emily posted a cryptic Instagram story. Sometimes those you trust wound you in ways you can't fathom. Taking a break from social media. Brandon's LinkedIn disappeared the next day. His company collapsed when its accounts were frozen pending a legal review of ownership. Me. I wandered the Swiss Alps, alone at peace. My daughter had ridiculed me, exploited my sacrifices, and flaunted her entitlement. I hadn't raised her to be this way, but I wouldn't finance it either. She learned what it felt like to lose everything in one swift, silent strike. 6 months later, I sat on the porch of my Vermont cabin, a steaming mug in hand, the sunset casting a warm glow over the pine-covered hills. No chaos, no biting emails, just serenity. My phone buzzed. Emily again. She'd tried everything since the wedding that never was. Apologies, tearful voicemails, even a childhood photo captioned, "Can we go back to this?" But the pain lingered. She'd used me, mocked me, and dismissed the father who'd given decades to her. I'd tried to raise her right, but entitlement had corrupted her. She and Brandon parted ways 2 weeks after the fiasco. When the money dried up, so did their connection. He blamed her. She blamed me. The internet reveled in it. A guest's video of her breakdown went viral on TikTok. Bride left stranded at her own wedding after mocking father who owned the venue. 5.3 million views and counting. In her latest message she wrote, "Dad, I messed up. I don't want money. I want you back. Please." I stared at the words, thumb hovering over the screen. After a long breath, I typed, "When you learn to cherish people over pride, we'll have a conversation." I set the phone down and turned to the sunset. Forgiveness takes time. Sometimes, peace outweighs Paris.